I do wonder if he died protecting us. Um, I if he did, I wish he'd given me a chance. I wish he'd give me a chance to do. He The idea of trading his life for mine is absurd. Or for his kids, I can understand that, but I hope to God it wasn't about protecting me.
I'm joined right now by Richard Forsythe. This is the brother of Dr. John Forsythe. He's kind enough to come on and share the hell that he has been through in this last year, trying to find out what happened to his very beloved brother, Dr. John Forsythe, when his body was discovered Memorial Weekend in Beaver Lake in Arkansas. Richard, number one, thank you for joining us. Let's start out by talking, Richard, about this from the beginning. Let's go way back. Let's go back to years before this horrible tragedy took place with your brother. He's working in the medical practice there. Well, all accounts doing good. Even allowed to bring
Yeah.
his camper onto the property, and he sounds like somebody who really worked his butt off. Is that a fair assessment?
That was something that a lot of people complained about. I mean, it was said of him that he was working 80, 100 hours a week regularly and sometimes more somehow. I don't know how. Yeah, he worked
Mhm.
a lot.
Yeah. With that being said, him working quite a bit, you guys, from what I understand, take me to the beginning of this business you guys set up. How far back did the crypto business begin, and what kind of inspired you guys to go down that route?
Well, there's a long version of that story and a short one. I'll go with the short one, and you can kind of ask for expansion if you want. But we started talking about digital currency in 2007.
Hmm.
We were involved in a business. We had created some software for banks in the payment systems industry to help maximize debit card returns for banks. So
Hmm.
for banks that are issuing debit cards, we had some software and a novel approach for improving their revenue model.
Hmm.
And in our conversations with payments systems experts, we got into the conversation of where payment systems were going. And the conversation of digital currencies arose, and he and I started exploring that space, and we started devising an idea for a digital currency around 2007. We began programming 2008. We had a beta test in 2009, and then Bitcoin came out. And at first, we thought Bitcoin was pretty goofy,
Hmm.
uh, but and I still maintain that its early iterations were goofy, but then they made some key alterations, and that sold us that they were the right platform. And so, even though we'd spent well over $1 million in what we were working on at the time, we dumped it
Hmm.
and we pivoted to the cryptocurrency space, and we started working in um, that market, developing services and products, and just getting involved. We were at the first cryptocurrency conferences. We met all the current tech giants and people who started the cryptocurrency space, and we just got really involved. And over time, we devised several ideas, many of which didn't work out. We actually tried to start a cryptocurrency exchange, found the regulatory landscape to be challenging, and also a lot of the technical issues to be very challenging. And we started a business where we sold cryptocurrency that was attached to actual precious metals. So kind of a combination of precious metals and cryptocurrency. That didn't work out in the long run. And so ultimately, we ended up starting our own cryptocurrency because we felt like the cryptocurrencies we were seeing in the market were not delivering on the original promise, on the original idea. And so, and probably the biggest issue with cryptocurrency that we saw at that time, and I still see this as a problem, is broad-based distribution. Not enough people are using cryptocurrency to make it really legit, to make it palatable to the masses and to businesses and to government. And so we feel like the biggest challenge facing cryptocurrency is broad-based usage. And so we designed Onfo um, to become a cryptocurrency that is very broadly used, especially in the third world. We felt like there was nobody in the cryptocurrency space that was addressing the involvement of the third world, and that we have always felt since the beginning that cryptocurrency was designed for them.
Hmm.
It was designed to liberate them. It was designed to lift them up and to give them inclusion into modern finance, into the modern world. So we envisioned Onfo as a philanthropic concept. We never really had a profit model. It should be said that probably sounds naive to certain cryptocurrency people. The truth is that when a cryptocurrency becomes very big, very widely used, then it becomes inherently valuable. And so anybody involved in such a program will have revenue streams. But we never got to that, and we certainly didn't have a short-term revenue model. We weren't flipping or dumping or any of that kind of stuff. We never sold anything
Hmm.
to anybody. We very squeaky clean when it came to regulatory compliance stuff. Um, and our mission, the way we understood it, was that if we succeed on a broad base, great. But if not, until then, we'll be putting groceries on the tables of lots of poor folks,
Hmm.
and that really drove us.
Putting groceries on the table of a lot of poor folks. Are you talking in third world countries, as you just mentioned, folks who really could use this? Is that the direction of where it was going and what was going on with it in those early days?
Absolutely, and we had big growth in a number of countries, Indonesia, Bangladesh, um, all throughout Africa, Ukraine before the war started. Things got a little bit strange when the war started, but we still maintained operations there, and we still had a lot of people who were using our system and helping it to grow. A lot of other places around the world that are not coming up to. Oh yeah, Philippines was big. A
Hmm.
lot of places around the world, and especially we noticed with the feedback and the communications we got, it was particularly popular with people who are struggling financially. And so
Hmm.
we had a lot of testimonials, people writing in saying, they're really grateful for what we did for them. They only participated for a couple weeks, but it got them $20,
Hmm.
and that made us feel really great. And it motivated us. It really drove us in our work and in our investments. And for me and for Jr., my brother, he was often referred to as Jr. John Robert Forsythe. He We were just so excited about what we were doing, and about the impact we were having for people, hundreds of thousands of people. You can live your whole life and work at any variety of jobs, and some of which you may have the luxury of believing in.
Hmm.
You may actually have the luxury of feeling like what you're doing means something. Uh, Jr. and I worked a lot of different jobs, did a lot of different things. We never found anything that gave us more meaning than that. And so, yeah, we were very driven by the philanthropic angle.
When you were in that philanthropic angle of this, what time was this in the timeline of things? But what year was this going on at?
2019, January 1st to the day he died.
Oh, oh. While this is going on, you obviously you work with a lot of different people. I'm assuming people in other countries as well to get this off the ground into the place where you got it. I have to ask, as we've learned about your brother and his claims of being kidnapped about a year prior to his murder. I believe you had mentioned in an interview once that it might have been related somewhat in some way, shape, or form to the world of cryptocurrency. Can you expand upon that a little bit more? Does that have to do with what you guys were doing with working with other countries and maybe some bad actors getting mixed in, or was it something else into the just that world? For most of us, we're very unfamiliar with any of it, to be quite honest.
Excuse me. The first time I ever heard about this kidnapping story
Hmm.
was the day that my brother went missing on May 21st of this year. I had no knowledge of it whatsoever, and I was not I have no firsthand knowledge of any of it, even to this day. All I have are third party accounts.
Where
So what I know about it, I truly wonder. I don't know if I know much at all,
Mhm.
but I do know what was claimed through mutual acquaintance. Mutual acquaintance, and I'm saying this because the events we're describing are potentially dangerous.
Mhm.
If they occurred, and especially as described, then the person who is privy to this information is potentially in danger. And so I'm keeping this person anonymous for that reason. So this mutual acquaintance has said to my face that he claimed that the kidnapping was cryptocurrency related. That's a very vague phrase. Um, that's it. Some deal was struck. There was a claim that, well, first of all, he was forced into a car and taken to some location. Don't know how far of a drive it was. It was a bridge, apparently. His life was threatened. I think the life of his family was threatened, possibly acquaintances as well. This, I am aware that this is vague and that's frustrating. It's frustrating to me too.
Sure.
Um, Also, it was claimed that these individuals had what he described as Eastern European accents. That's very vague, could be wrong. They claimed that they were professionals. It wasn't personal. They were hired by another person. That's it. Other than that, that it was cold, that he was zip tied, that he didn't want to talk much more about it because he was concerned that it could put people in danger if they knew anything more. I don't know why that would be the case. And furthermore, um, regarding this kidnapping story, um, a lot of the public have remarked in social media that they find it very odd and incredible that I don't know more. And yet that's the fact. That's just the
Sure.
way it is.
Yeah.
I did not know. He did not tell me anything about this. If it was cryptocurrency related, it seems implausible that I am not in the line of fire, or by proximity to him that I am not somehow involved and in danger, but he didn't tell me.
Yeah.
And by not telling me, I find it difficult to believe that that protects me whatsoever. But here we are. He didn't tell me anything. And so I found out about all this stuff on May 21st, 2023, when he was missing from his ER shift. And this is before we knew anything. This is before we knew that he had been taken, that he had been killed.
Yeah.
Um, so at this point, May 21st, 2023, I'm hearing this absolutely shocking and bizarre story. And I'm hoping and believing that he ran off. You know, he was in hiding or something. So that's it. That's all I know about the
Yeah.
kidnapping, and that brings us to date. I found out that he was dead about a week after he was missing, and then it became a crime.
Sure.
And
When you found out that he was missing on May 21st, and you then found out that story, and obviously I'm not asking for the identity of who told you that whatsoever, but I do want to ask, was that a call from someone or a message from someone that immediately had suspicions that this was related to that previous kidnapping, and that's why they wanted you to know?
yes, yes. In fact, it was about his being missing, and it was brought to my attention as a, by the way, this could be related type of comment.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, you know, my evening progressed terribly that evening. First, I find out my brother's missing. Second, I found out he's been kidnapped. And the evening, just I was up all night. The phone calls just kept coming. His car has been found abandoned. His phone has been smashed. All these things. His RV was left open with stuff that he would never leave behind. And it just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And mysterious, more mysterious by the phone call, and more bizarre. And um yeah, that's how that day and the following day went.
I can't imagine, just the circles you must have been going through in your mind and trying to piece something together when you don't have all the pieces to do that. Was anyone else in your family aware of any of these sort of things, of anything possible negative other than the individual who informed you of that previous kidnapping? What was I guess the status on your brother was with everybody? Just normal life?
No, I waited until about 8 a.m. the following morning because I thought, these guys need at least one night's sleep because this is going to be a roller coaster. So I started getting the word out with family at about 8 a.m. the following morning, and everyone was completely shocked. And my objective that morning until about noon was to get a hold of anybody who could know anything and try to find any information. And so I was calling work associates, acquaintances, cousins, anybody I could think of. And I don't even remember who I talked to specifically, but a lot of individuals. And they in turn talked to individuals. And so the word just started getting out and people just started soliciting information from anyone who could know. And everybody I talked to was absolutely shocked, horrified, as I was, about what was going on, about what could be going on. No one had heard a single thing about this kidnapping thing. No one had any inkling of an idea of whether he was in danger and specifically why and from whom. Nobody had any clue. And so we were all just shocked and dumbfounded, still are. I've been telling people, and this is the God's honest truth. I know less today about what's going on than on May 21st
Mhm.
when he went missing, because there were things I thought I knew. Now I don't. Now I'm unlearning things.
What are some of
Um,
those things that you thought you knew that now have come to light and aren't exactly what you expected?
I knew that my brother led a fairly compartmentalized life and that he had secrets, but I had no idea how deep that ran. I had no idea that, well, he was at least communicating to some individuals that he believed that he was in a lot of danger, that he could be killed. No idea. Um, this is a person I am very close to. The family, they say to each other and to media, Richard was the closest
Mhm.
to John Forsythe,
Sure.
to JR. And I don't know the most important thing that's going on in his life. I didn't know. I didn't know that he had a girlfriend. I didn't know that they're having a baby. I didn't know even that he proposed to her. I didn't know that he had 19 LLCs and a C corp. I didn't know that. Why did I not know that? Look, I was his factotum. I was his hatchet man, if you will, kind of a, in business terms, the guy who did his the work that he didn't want to do.
Mhm.
I would be the guy who fired someone because that he found that distasteful. I would be the guy who um, took the trip to the place that he didn't want to go. And I don't know about this stuff. It's amazing to me. Bank accounts I didn't know about. I handled a lot of his financial affairs for a long time. His estate, his will, and the operating agreement governing the corporation that we erected to handle the intellectual property for Onfo. Um, he had documentation about that I originally drafted. He claimed that he amended them. We can't find those documents. There's a lot of bizarre stuff going on about this guy. And chief of all, me not knowing about the kidnapping, that's bizarre to the extreme to me. And the way I reason it, him not telling me about this makes no sense because my being ignorant is not something that bad guys can take for granted.
Mhm.
My proximity to him implicates me the end. And
Sure.
so if he knows something or has got something they want, and he's out of the picture now and they still haven't got it, then
Yeah.
that's me. I mean, any fool would assume that, and the public at large is assuming that, and they're assuming that I know more because I'm not telling more because it makes no sense that I don't know more. But here we are. I
Sure.
don't know more, and it is so strange to me and hurtful. Um,
Well, yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, you're just trying to tell your story and raise awareness here because this is a very bizarre, unsolved death as of this moment, and to lose the person that you were so close to, and then at the same time, it's got to be somewhat heartbreaking to realize you really there was a whole other side to this person that you were unaware of. When you look at this, and I'm sure there's been thousand different scenarios that have run through your mind in these
Yeah.
last many months. I mean, is there anything that you've speculated on that makes any sense to you at all of, uh, motive for someone wanting to go after him? And did he have enemies somewhere? Because everything we know, he seemed like a very lovely, nice, wonderful person.
He
That
really
that
was.
that doesn't, but when it gets into business, and sometimes, through no fault of his own, maybe there are, of course, just shady people out there that will try and take advantage of someone's goodness. Is that something where maybe this stems into? Was there something that you can think of any path that was going on in the world of crypto? Um, that would have turned someone the wrong way, to not only do that initial kidnapping, but if it is connected, which um, most people don't get kidnapped once in their life, one would assume
Yeah.
it would likely be connected to his death.
Right. Um, as far as my thoughts and what I've wondered about, what I've wondered is the cause of all this. Yeah, my thoughts have run the gamut, and I've wondered if it could be a jealous ex. I've wondered if it could be a drug dealer or a drug transaction gone wrong. He was looking for DMT at the time that he died.
Hmm.
He communicated that to me, and I didn't especially want to broadcast that around the world. I don't really have any illicit drug sources, but I guess I know people who know people, and I thought maybe someone might know someone who can provide him some safe DMT. He wanted DMT because he was obsessed. He was absolutely driven to figure out this problem of post RSA encryption. And brief background on this: um, quantum computing is rising quickly. Right now, it seems like a lot of attention's on AI, but quantum computing advancement is rising very fast. And he envisioned a world in which quantum computing became strong enough to brute force any conventional digital security. And so this was a concern specifically for us as cryptocurrency founders because the security of a cryptocurrency is essential to its operations. But also, we were concerned about a world in which bad faith actors, organized crime, corrupt government had access to technology like this. A world in which there is no digital privacy, no digital security, and it seemed a very dangerous thing to us, and something that could be used to oppress a lot of people. Our minds being very keyed into the plight of poor individuals, forgotten and oppressed individuals around the world. This was sort of a natural path for us, and so he and I stumbled across this dilemma, and he chiefly had been working on this issue, and he believed that DMT could help expand his mind. He believed that the answer to this mathematical problem would be in um, essentially experiencing a near death experience through DMT, which is what people do. If you go onto YouTube and you listen to people's accounts of DMT trips, it's pretty wild stuff, but strangely consistent across experiencers. And so, leading that back to my original comment and why I brought that up, my first assumption when he went missing and when they found his body was that it was a bad drug deal,
Hmm.
or that he had taken DMT unassisted and aspirated or something. Um, I was horrified that he did that. I told him, I said, if you can ever get DMT, make sure you've got someone. I'll be there to make sure you breathe, to make sure you've got what you need so you don't choke on your tongue or
Sure.
something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was my first assumption. It was some kind of bad drug deal. You deal with drug dealers, you get bad stuff. So,
Sure.
but there's been no evidence to support that. I had also supposed perhaps a jealous ex-boyfriend of a girl he dated. As far as I know, there's been no evidence to support that. Then there's the story of the kidnapping, which is very low-hanging fruit in all of this. I have no specific knowledge to link that to my brother's disappearance and death, but
Yeah.
we all are, and because it's so sinister and spooky, and uh, two, he claimed to certain individuals over time that that event was ongoing, that it wasn't fully resolved, and that the issue at hand was still a danger to him and to people he cared about. And so So we have his word, we have his voice from beyond the grave saying that it's about the kidnapping. So according to third party individuals, not me, because he never confided any of this to me. So
Mhm.
um, so the kidnapping, crypto, what could it be about? I have no idea. So if it's about crypto, some crypto he's got, some crypto that I don't know. Could it be about Onfo? I don't understand why it would be. Yes, it could be. Onfo is, from certain people's point of view, I think, up to no good. We're disruptors. We're giving people an avenue for free speech in third world countries where oppression is the rule. So yeah, enemies. In the course of pursuing Onfo as a concept, we have come across hackers and bad faith actors who have, you know, stolen from us or attempted to steal from us. We've thwarted some of them. Thwarting them has made them very angry. We had a run in with a fellow who launched it was like a 5 week uh, DDoS attack on our system because we stopped him from stealing a bunch of funds from some of our account holders. Um, the money at hand in that particular disagreement was only about 8 grand, so it doesn't seem to me to be enough to motivate a person, especially a foreign individual, to cross an ocean to get revenge. So, but who knows? I mean, who knows how far people's pride will drive them to despicable acts? I don't know. And that's it. Like besides that, I can imagine that maybe he just I don't know, maybe he borrowed money from someone. I have no specific information that he did, but this is sort of the Hollywood story. You borrow money from shady individuals and you don't pay it back on their ever changing terms, and then you get yourself kneecapped or whatever. I have no idea. The public has perhaps as much latitude and possibility of success as I do in imagining what is going on here.
Sure.
The police seem to have nothing.
Yeah.
They've told us that they've found no evidence of foreign actor involvement or cryptocurrency involvement, though it should be said that in a criminal investigation, the police are not obligated to tell the truth in the course of an ongoing investigation. So I don't know if that's part of a misinformation campaign to elicit information. I don't know. Um, I really don't know what the truth is. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the police have. I know that what seems to be the case is that they don't have much to be going on if this is about cryptocurrency and foreign actors. They don't seem to have found much information. So here we are.
How involved have the police been with you? Just sitting down talking and trying to get information. Are they talking to everybody in the family, trying to get anything they can possibly go on? I mean, how deep are they going in the investigation? Do you feel like they're giving it the effort that it needs for just how bizarre and this thing is? And I would imagine the manpower that would be needed to dig into this.
I have little to no insight into the criminal investigation, and I think that's probably as it should be. They are not very forthcoming, as they should be.
Sure.
Um, my interactions with them have been puzzling. I can say that according to my siblings, and I have 5 sisters, they have not spoken to any of them. The police have communicated to the family that they favor an assisted suicide story. They believe that he hired someone to kill him to effect a false narrative of mysterious murder and martyrdom potentially. Um, I don't really know why they believe that. I think maybe it's just sort of in the case of criminal investigations, you results matter, public confidence in the system matters, and so what you tend to find is that you look for theories, and then having found one, you look for facts to support those theories. I mean, I know that's sort of the opposite of good detective work, but it also delivers, at least as far as the public is concerned, results. At least the perception of results, and so it seems to me like maybe they found a theory that they can find facts for. Um, and so but again, I have no insights into the criminal investigation. I really don't
Yeah.
know, what they actually think. Anything they tell me may be just a game that they're playing to try to get to the bottom of this. And I certainly hope that they do. And
Yeah.
I hope that they are honest and in earnest with their investigation. And
Ha-
But their interactions with me, they've interviewed me several times, but none of my sisters. If they favor a suicide theory, I'd like to know why they're not interviewing my sisters. Why would they not want to find out from them what his state of mind was, what their opinion was of his state of mind? I mean, that seems to me to be immediately relevant to a potential suicide narrative, right?
Was your brother
Uh,
in contact with your sisters on a
yeah,
regular basis, talking about life in general and
yeah,
emotions,
yeah.
that sort of things?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
he was. Especially several of my sisters, my eldest sister and my sister Amanda, who's in the medical field as well. He confided in them a lot. In fact, he had conversations with them. Come to find out after his death, he said things to them that I didn't know. So he did bring them into his confidence, and them not being interviewed is very strange. I'd like to say that about my brother's state of mind, what I know, and I'm not an expert on his state of mind. I'm the closest of my family to him, and so I have insights, but
sure.
I'm being reminded constantly that yes, I don't know everything that was in his heart and in his mind, and fair enough. But I feel like my view of him is uh, very important and very relevant to this case. And I will say that he was the happiest I've ever seen him.
Mhm.
He was overflowing with joy and anticipation and optimism. And I've just recently come to find out that he was preparing to transfer his job to Springfield, Missouri, to work with his fiancee, who's also in the medical field. He and I had just hired a DevOps guy for Onfo to help bring us forward. We had very elaborate plans for what he was going to do and where Onfo was going to go in the near future. He and I had investment plans together. We were going to commence in January and February. He and I had a building that we were renovating together, big insurance claim. And man, we had been dreaming about renovating this building for the longest time. And he had been taking me on tours. He had taken me on tours before his death of this building and described in very excited terms the different things we are going to do with this building. The amount of money we were going to spend was a lot of money, and it was going to be just an absolute jewel for the town. It was going to revitalize the downtown commerce. Again, he just proposed to his girlfriend, who he described as the love of his life, someone who made him very happy. They were going to have a child together. He was excited about having this kid together. Um, and on and on and on. The guy, he was so optimistic. He had so many plans. So all of this stacked up against, yes, he had troubles. He had a divorce decree, 19,000 per month.
Mhm.
Yeah, that divorce was troubling for him. Um, and that's it. Like that's the one
Yeah,
thing people bring up. They're like, well, maybe he just didn't want to pay child support and alimony. Look, he didn't even contest it. He was fine with it. He had been paying a previous amount, 15 grand a month for years and years and years, never missed a payment,
yeah,
had no problem with it. He was making tons of money as a doctor and as an
sure.
investor.
Yeah,
He was a very wealthy guy.
yeah,
And I'm told by many people far wealthier than I thought. Funny thing, I don't really know how wealthy he was. And that's an odd thing to be able to say. But as a brother, even a close brother, you don't just say, "Hey, how much money you got, bro?" It's crass, it's stupid, it's disrespectful. I would never do that.
sure.
And he would probably just look at me askance if I did.
Yeah,
So yeah, uh, the only thing that anyone has been able to come up with that and text messages in which he described going through a tough time. I think going through two divorces, going through some health challenges on his own part was hard, but there was never any indication to me or to any of my siblings who I've talked to that he was suicidal, depressed, that he was ready to give up. He is on record as having acquired some ketamine,
mhm.
and his stated reason was depression.
Uh-huh.
According to his fiancee, he made all that up to supplement the DMT he was planning to get. He was happy. He was cheerful. He pretended to be depressed to get some ketamine because ketamine enhances a DMT trip,
Sure.
and he was determined to get to the bottom of that quantum math issue about RSA security. So, as far as I can tell, as far as I see, and I don't have all the data, I don't have all the evidence, but as far as I can tell, this is not a guy who had any reason to give up or to arrange an elaborate,
Mhm.
deceptive death
Yeah,
like has been proposed. Quite the opposite. This was a guy who is very excited about the future and who had supreme, bordering on arrogance, confidence
mhm.
that he could overcome any obstacle and that he was going to soon. This guy, I've been through so many challenges with him, so many just awful things, and he just his confidence, his brilliance, his confidence in his own brilliance was bordering on, arrogant. And so I'm meant to believe this guy just in the midst of, his the upswing of his life decided to hire some killers and fake some elaborate martyr death. It's just,
Yeah.
look, if that is the truth, and it'll have to be proven if that's the truth, but if that's the truth, then it's the truth, and this world is a lot stranger than I thought. And it was already pretty damn strange. So
Yeah, I mean, that idea is very bizarre in itself. I mean, one would assume that with everything that was going on, that law enforcement would be combing through, investigators would be combing through financial records.
yeah,
I would assume that they would be combing through, and I would assume they would have been some sort of contact with the individual that you mentioned, that the name is being left obviously anonymous,
yeah.
to question that person. I mean, are you aware at all of if they're going down those roads and contacting those people, or is it sitting there as we want to just kind of leave it as this, maybe suicide thing?
I do
Yeah.
know that the witness to the kidnapping account has been questioned
Hmm.
and was treated with a fair amount of hostility, and so that individual acquired counsel, and the communication between police and this individual have not been great,
Okay.
which is unfortunate. But I don't I don't know. I don't know what transpired between them. I don't know what the police's view of things are. I want to say that I have no reason to believe that the police have bad intentions or are dishonest in any way. I fully support this investigation. I All I want is the truth.
Hmm.
I have cooperated with the police from day one and will continue to do so. I have no other priority besides getting to the bottom of this, getting to the truth of this investigation. And I want the police to succeed. I don't want there to be doubt on the police for this investigation. I don't want people to criticize them. I want people to help them.
Sure. Yeah.
If this investigation takes a turn, some sinister turn where false evidence is presented or false allegations are made, then that'll be a different dynamic. But for now, as far as I can tell, they're just trying to do their job, and so
Mhm.
I wish them Godspeed.
And oftentimes in investigations like this, especially when it gets bizarre, sometimes they are far more quiet because there's just so
Yeah.
many pieces, and one doesn't want to tip someone off that shouldn't be tipped off in order for them to get to point A to point B to C. So yeah, I mean, certainly we want them to get where they need to go. Let's for a moment talk about one of the other really bizarre things, and that would be the camera footage of your brother, the last footage that we saw in that parking lot. Another
Yeah.
one where getting out, getting into another vehicle, going back to the car, but leaving his things there and walking off camera. I mean, never to be seen again. That in itself, right there, was another. What is going on here? Like, if you're going to go for a walk, I mean, why wouldn't you grab your phone or those sort of things that you need? Just to walk off like that seemed very, very strange. I'm sure to you, I'm sure to anyone who knows him. When you bring up the DMT, that actually, I guess, would add a little more question to that. I'm sure maybe it's something you
Yeah.
wonder about too. Was did he go into that vehicle? Just speculation here. Did he go into that vehicle? Did he consume the DMT or some sort of substance? And did that create the mindset that he was at to walk away from the car, and did something happen after that? But it doesn't explain him being shot either.
Right. Well, my early account um of the car, the morning meeting at the Aquatic Center was flawed, and it was based on some misunderstanding. So I'll clarify that story.
Okay.
Um, when I first heard the story of his car being on camera and a white SUV also coming into frame, the way it was described, I misunderstood. Um, I did not see the footage. The footage was described to me in real time as it was being watched on a security camera the night of his disappearance. So, first of all, it should be said that the camera footage is extremely blurry and unreliable. The reason we believe that it is a video of my brother is because he was wearing a fairly distinct outfit. He was wearing a black long sleeve shirt, button up shirt, and light colored jeans. They were described as pale gray or pale blue, and he also drove a black Infinity M sedan. So a car roughly fitting that description of that sedan pulls into frame at the aquatic center into a parking spot, and at some point, minutes after, a white SUV also pulls into frame, but is not apparently adjacent to my brother's car, and there is no apparent interaction between these two cars. But again, the footage is terrible and there's no audio. It's my understanding that the individual in the black sedan got out, and this individual had a black top and light colored pants on. So vaguely fitting my brother's clothing description, but hard to prove, and walks away. But this camera footage of this car in the spot where it was seen is not where his car was ultimately found. I thought it was initially. It is not. I do not know if the camera footage shows the car driving away. And I do not know if there's any camera footage of the car being brought again to the aquatic center to the place where it was ultimately found, which is in sort of a refuge area adjacent to the aquatic center. It's a public use refuge dumping area with kind of a green fence. I don't know if there's any footage of his car being brought there. And so that's that. There is certainly no footage of him getting into a car. And again, the footage on that day, on that morning, is in question because of how blurry it is. So I don't even know if that video is relevant or not.
So when we've heard in the past that he got into another car in that parking lot, and then walked around his other car, then walked off camera, uh, that has been misinterpreted. Is that accurate? And what you just stated there is what you believe to have happened?
Yeah, that's correct. There's no footage and there's no evidence that I'm aware of him getting into a car, either by eyewitness account or by video recording. There's no evidence of that whatsoever,
Where would that
as far as I know.
is that something that you had speculated on early, or did that
Yeah.
was that okay? So that's where that initially came from.
I never said, nor did I ever believe that he got into a car. That was never said to me, nor did I ever relate that. I'm not really sure where that came from.
Okay.
I know that some people wondered if he did because in the original story, he parks a white SUV parks within range of his car. The white SUV leaves, and then he gets around, walks away. That was the original account that I understood, and the one that I related to media. There was I never had an understanding or even a belief that he got into a car according to any of that evidence. Now, there were rumors. We got a number of tips on that day, sightings of a fellow meeting his description. In one case, walking briskly on a walking path about a mile north or northeast of where his car was ultimately abandoned, sometime around, can't remember now, sometime around 11 or so, late morning. Um, there was an account of somebody sitting in an black Infinity M at the Roaring River hatchery at around 10:30 or 11 that morning on his phone, and this tipster claimed that he definitely matched the photos that we circulated in his missing poster photos. Um, but no idea if these accounts are false, misunderstood, misremembered. I don't, no
Sure.
idea if any of those. Yeah, I don't know if the police have followed up on any of that, found any evidence of that. We went to some of my family went to the Roaring River fishery to see if they had security cameras. They did, to see if they had footage. They did not have footage, unfortunately, as far as I know.
That was going to be
Um,
my next question. Is obviously there's the one camera, but were there any others in the area that have been looked into and looked at to make sure that, or just to see what they
yeah.
could find, if anything there right
And
away?
was there GPS information on
Yeah,
that day?
that would be another one
Yeah,
that um, that
I'd
we're
love to know. There was a claim by an acquaintance of his that he had been to that aquatic center area where his car was found several times in the previous year. according to iPhone GPS sharing software.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's been able to be corroborated. I find that to be an incredible story. That's really bizarre. Also, there's a claim that he went on a fishing trip at some point. Don't know what time, what year, but fairly recently to Beaver Lake.
Hmm.
And there's a photo of him on Beaver Lake with an acquaintance and um, fishing. Apparently, when I was asked early on in the investigation, was did my brother own a boat? Did he fish? I said absolutely not. He frankly had contempt for outdoor activities. He hated fishing and hiking, and he thought all that stuff was a waste of time and dirty and smelly. And
Hmm.
but now I've got a photo of him on a fishing trip with an acquaintance, and it's at the place where his body was found. And I think that is extremely bizarre. Again, things I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know,
So much to try and wrap your mind around. Is has have you speculated if there was some sort of threat against your brother? I mean, because there's obviously levels of this that look almost like an organized crime type hit. And
yeah,
we do know with things of that nature, sometimes it's not so much the person that has angered someone and that they're necessarily targeting that they'll go after. It's more so a family member that they would go after to try and really hurt that person. Have
right.
you? And this is something that's run through my mind. I'm wondering if it has yours. Of do you think there was a threat to him saying, "Look, it's you or your family," and he felt it was so imminent that his family could get hurt, or a family member could get hurt, or someone that he loved that he did in fact take his life out of fear uh, for some sort of threat like that.
It's an interesting perspective. That may be the case. I know so little. I have to keep an open mind. I find it difficult to believe that in his state of mind, days before his death, that he was contemplating death. I mean, look, he
Yeah,
could have lifted the barest of fingers to manage his estate, and now his estate is in uncertainty. It's a mess. He's got a bunch of dependent kids who've got no source of protection here, and our everything we work to build is crumbling because there's no continuity. There's no plan for continuity here. And so, if he was contemplating his demise, then why didn't he do just the simplest of things to assure his estate?
sure.
Um, that blows my mind. Look, this is a guy who cared deeply
Yeah,
about what he was involved with his career, his kids, the cryptocurrency venture, the his mathematical research, that he left nothing behind. That he didn't salvage anything or have any plan to maintain any of this is just speaks to me of a person who did not know he was going to go.
yeah, and in no way am I insinuating it was like I'm really depressed. I want to leave it that way, but
But that maybe
more
he
so
did
to
it to save us.
yeah.
Well, he claimed that if he said more, if he divulged more, it would put others in danger, and so
Hmm.
that frames him as someone who was protecting others.
Yeah,
Could he have been belligerent to the end? Could he have basically just said, "No, you're going to have to kill me because I'm not going to do X, Y, or Z," and that's why he died, and thinking that his death would secure the safety of those around him. Yeah, I suppose that's possible. This involves stories I've not been told yet. I would need to know what that story is. That's a crazy story, and what on earth is going on, and why did it go down that way?
yeah.
Um, I do wonder if he died protecting us. Um, I if he did, I wish he'd given me a chance. I wish he'd give me a chance to do. He The idea of trading his life for mine is absurd. Or for his kids, I can understand that, but I hope to God it wasn't about protecting me. He was a great man, and all brothers think so of their brothers, I suppose. But this is different. This is a this was a great human being by any objective measure, and with flaws. Yes, you can build your case against his personal character flaws or whatever, but this, in the balance, this was a great man,
Yeah, without a
and
doubt.
his life was worth a lot. And I said on KY3, and I said at his funeral, I said that if these killers knew him, they wouldn't have done it.
Mhm.
You cannot know this person and not love him. and you would not kill him if you loved him, and you would have if you knew him. So therefore they don't know what they did. Uh, it's just an absurd loss. It's just a disgusting loss.
Yeah.
And anyway, what this could be about, I will say this, and I don't know much, but I'd like to say that it's important to me to say that the idea of kidnapping a prominent member of society, bringing him across state lines, executing him and throwing him on a tourist-filled lake on Memorial Day week is it's stupid. No intelligent human being would formulate that plan. Doesn't make any sense. Unless you suppose that you're above the law, unless that's the level of your arrogance. You think that inviting international attention, potentially FBI investigations with unlimited resources as they seem to have, um, massive public attention, media attention, the certainty that his body will be found and found clearly murdered. This is an absurd plan unless that's the level of your arrogance or unless that wasn't the plan. I've supposed that if it wasn't the plan, then the plan was another kidnapping and negotiation, like what happened in 2022. They kidnapped the guy, they threaten him, they seek compliance in some form. He's got something they want, or they want him to stop doing something, or whatever it is. And so they take him down to this place for this discussion. Maybe that's where he was brought when he was kidnapped. I don't know. Maybe that's where these people live, or maybe they rented a boathouse on the lake. I told the police, I said I'd start my investigation with rentals on Beaver Lake. May not be a rental, it may be the home of an acquaintance, but either way, that's where I'd start. And it seems to me like he was killed where he was and he was dumped where he was because that's just how things went down, not because it was the plan.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. I mean, what kind of an idiot formulates that plan? That's a terrible, terrible plan. Unless you are so above the law that you have contempt for it, and you're, I don't know what, trying to send a message or something, some kind of absurd, arrogant message to whom? I don't know, because message not received. I have no idea what this message is supposed to be. But we've wondered, could law enforcement have done this? Could this be the very people we think are meant to protect us? I have no specific reason to believe that, but lacking evidence, the mind wanders to crazy places like that. At this point, we have no idea who did this, but you've got to look at what happened and try to figure out what kind of a person would do this and why. And man, I'll tell you, kidnapping a prominent member of society, taking him across state lines, why would you do that? That is just such a stupid thing to do. And then putting him in a touristy place after killing him, obviously execution style. Come on, this is crazy behavior.
One, I mean, to try and make sense of something like that, if you knew the area, I would think you'd be making better choices. It almost leads
Right.
one to believe that if this was someone from a different place in the country, in the world, and they're looking for, well, here's a lake, state
Yeah.
lines be damned, whatever, we're going to do what we're going to do. That could, I think, make some sense or lead some
All right, we're
credence
we're
to.
we're hightailing it back to
Yeah,
wherever I stand or
yeah,
wherever you're from, and so
yeah,
we're going to be a million miles from justice.
yeah,
Perhaps that's their thought.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So many things to speculate. Have you felt that you are in any sort of danger since this happened? Has there been any weird communication? I mean, obviously there's weirdos out there that watch true crime and will, make their comments, and I'm sure you've been seeing that from time to time. But other than that, have you felt any sort of danger or any sort of message from who might have done this?
No, there was a white SUV scoping out my house the day after my brother disappeared. Um, and when I approached it, it zoomed away. But I think that was probably law enforcement. I've not been approached by anyone. I've not been threatened by anyone, and I'm not hiding anything. Like
Yeah,
I first of all, I've got nothing to hide. And second, I'm not hiding anything to protect others. I'm not in my brother's position whatsoever. If someone approached me and threatened me and tried to play that same game, I already know where that leads.
hmm,
That's not going to work. So I'd go to authorities or the media,
sure.
because look, you're going to threaten me and mine, and I'm supposed to believe that you honor your, your arrangements. I don't believe in that anymore. So yeah, I am not hiding any information. No one's threatening me or my family, as far as I know. And I say this honestly, I know less today than on the day it disappeared. I don't know what the heck is going on. Um, we
If you could put a magic, fire behind something or someone, the way you see it, to get some progress here in this investigation, what would that fire be? Who'd you be putting it behind to get some more traction? Assuming that things are sitting where they're at right now.
I have no real insight into what needs to be done to solve this case. One of the things that I'm concerned about, and I told the investigating police very early on in this investigation, that this is potentially a very challenging investigation because my brother and I have been in the regular practice of uh, encrypting our data and our communications um, on a very high level. And my brother John is someone who is very capable of hiding information and of being very secretive. Uh, if say the communications between him and some bad guys are a matter of end-to-end digital encrypted communication, then I don't think there is a solution. I don't think you can crack that. I don't think you can get at that data
Yeah.
unless someone comes forward and offers it because they have access to it. Um, if this is about secret files or secret data, or if this is about cryptocurrency that's behind, a private key, I don't know how the heck we're supposed to get at this
Mhm.
because this stuff can't be brute forced, as far as I know, not until this quantum horizon is reached. And then we may see some things, but I don't know if there will be the budget or the will to continue this investigation at that point, unless we've already, I don't, I'm mumbling, but I don't know where that's going to go. But I told him, I said, this is going to be tough. If this is a matter of digital encryption and encrypted communication, which my brother was regularly in the habit of engaging in, then they're not going to get that information. If these guys are crypto guys, then they're high tech folks, and you're not going to figure this out through getting access to digital files. This stuff is beyond your reach. I mean, I don't even think the FBI, the NSA can get this kind of data, and we're meant to believe they've got magical levels of abilities to intrude on digital encryption, but I don't think they can get at this stuff unless we have a very you know very flawed view of data intrusion or encryption intrusion methods and resources being held by the government or private individuals. So um, this is tough. This is a guy who is very secretive, very capable of being secretive, and if he wanted to hide information, or if he felt that destroying information was in the best interests of his family and friends, then he would have done so. So this is a tough dude to follow. This is going to be a hell of a headache. And the family's been talking about getting private investigators. If this criminal investigation doesn't lead to a good conclusion, we've talked about continuing the investigation privately. And I've warned the family we could spend a lot of money um,
You certainly,
and get almost nowhere with this.
well,
So
you certainly could. Is there any concern, though, as well, if you were to go down that road of hiring a private investigator, that you could be rattling a hornet's nest as well, and
I,
putting your all selves at danger?
I've thought of that.
Um, um,
I've thought of that, and we're determined to get answers, but I don't know what the price will be. Um, I really don't, and I don't know who we're up against. If let's and I have nothing to back this. I'm just floating a concept. But if this is, say, a foreign state entity, we're up against big resources and potentially some very determined and skilled individuals, potentially individuals with contacts and resources that we can't match. And yeah, they may not appreciate us poking around. I don't know. If this is organized crime, same deal. They may not appreciate us poking around for answers and looking to give those answers to media.
yeah.
Um, my hope is with God. I mean, at this point, I'm not trying to get mushy, folks, but um, that's what my hope is in. We need a miracle. someone to come forward, maybe somebody knows something. I mean, probably multiple individuals know something. Please come forward if you can do so safely. Please do so. Please help this family. We are grieving so heavily. We are going through so much pain, and doubt, and even fear over all of this. And we're in hell. I am. I've never been through so much emotional pain in my life. And Yeah, we beg the public, please help. Come, go to the authorities, or come to us, and whatever you can do.
Richard, thank you for coming on today and sharing this absolute nightmare that your family is going through. Hopefully, it can reach someone and you can get some resolution here. And we will certainly continue to follow this and cover this until, God willing, you find a resolution and you find out what exactly happened with your brother.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.